I'm looking, it could be. We do have a little bit of snow moving into the area from the northwest. It's not heavy, but it's not going to be a big deal. The big deal is how warm it's going to get next week.
Good.
And we're even, stepping in the right direction today and tomorrow. I think we can get to 32 today and maybe mid to upper 30s tomorrow. So we're going to start melting the icicles. Just hang on. It's going to happen. We'll have 20 degrees right now at O'Hare. It's still cold. We have a wind chill of only 10, and there are quite a few spots that have wind chills in the single digits currently. So you need the winter coat, the hat, the gloves, the whole deal. O'Hare temperature is one of the warmest spots, along with Waukegan and LaSalle, Peru. 18 at Morris, 17 at Chicago Heights and Maryville, 19 now in Michigan City. Michigan City, you may deal with a little more lake effect snow coming in late tomorrow into Saturday morning. We have the wind chills, as I mentioned, a few spots in the single digits. It feels like only 8 at Gary, 4 at Valparaiso. Wind chill of 5 at Woodstock. Cold start to the day with a little light snow on the way. I'll show you the radar and also talk about those 40s inbound a little bit. But are you inbound or outbound? Anthony, what are the roads looking like?
Well, if you're coming in on I-55, it's getting a little bit dicey right now. There's an accident involving a semi on the right shoulder on the Stevenson northbound right before US 12. That is exit 279. So stop and go traffic in that area. Also, let me check that Union Pacific Northwest. If you use the Metro, I'm pulling it up here. Yeah, there's a number of delays lingering. So check that Ventra app if you commute on the UP Northwest line. Here's a look at the rest of your travel times this morning. You're at 49 minutes inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown, 39 minutes on the Eisenhower between Route 390 and downtown. On the Stevenson Expressway, you're at 43 minutes inbound from I-355 to DuSable Lakeshore Drive, and things stacking up just a little bit on the Dan Ryan as well. On the inbound side, you're at 36 minutes from 95th to downtown.
A new warning from police for those who drive a Honda.
Yes, thieves apparently breaking in and stealing airbags. This is happening all over the city, so we're checking in with Roseanne Tejas, who is live in Jefferson Park with more details on what is actually going on here with these thefts. Roseanne.
Right. Well, they are targeting Honda airbags, as you said, and especially late models and late model Honda Civics are also targeted. So cars were targeted here in Jefferson Park, but also Portage Park, Bucktown, Uptown. The list goes on. About 16 different neighborhoods targeted and 38 thefts since December 21st alone here in the city. Now, thieves bust out the driver's side windows, then they pop that airbag out of the steering wheel. The reason? Oh, they have a high resale value on the black market, $120 to $400 compared to a factory cost of about $1,000. Now, police say the offenders in these thefts are 1 to 2 men wearing jumpsuits, possibly driving a red Ford F-150 or a GMC black pickup with dealer plates. Police recommend using some kind of an anti-theft device like the club to protect yourself, and be sure to tell your friends and family about the problem, which is a nationwide problem. Police in Howard County, Maryland captured thieves in action with their body-worn cameras. So this is happening a lot back live now. I want to tell you these thefts. We found, Hondas aren't difficult to find. These thefts happen in the wee hours. They tend to happen overnight. So, you're taking a chance parking on the street. Many people have no choice, but you should be warned about that. And police also warn that if you are a victim, if you come out and you find that broken driver's side window and your airbag is missing, don't touch anything. Call police first. Another tip from police, so that you aren't the next victim, or at least you can try and catch the person responsible. Back to you in the studio.
Good advice. Thank you so much, Roseanne. Police are investigating a deadly shooting outside St. Sabina Church.
Gabriella Primus has that and the other top stories we are following for you this Thursday morning. Gabriella?
Natalie, Anthony, this video has been all over social media. I keep on saying it, and here are the details. Police say it was an ambush-style shooting in broad daylight. A man and a woman were shot, and the woman died. Police say the mass shooters fired into that white car you see before hopping into a red SUV and driving off. Now, from the audio, it sounds like they continued firing shots while driving away in that red SUV. There are reports that a baby was in the car at the time as well, but was not hurt. No one is in custody. custody. Police now offering a $10,000 reward for any information leading to an arrest in the deadly shooting outside a White Castle restaurant. Remember, this happened yesterday, or on Tuesday, excuse me, in the parking lot of the White Castle in West Roosevelt. Police say 3 men were in a car when 3 other men came up and opened fire. 2 died and the other was hurt. One of the men killed has been identified as 48-year-old Lydell Harton. Anyone with information can reach out to Cook County Crime Stoppers. Back to you, Anthony.
Okay, thank you, Gabby. Appreciate it. A federal judge in Indiana is blocking the deportation of a man acquitted last month in the murder-for-hire plot against Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino. The jury found Juan Espinoza Martinez not guilty for offering a $10,000 bounty. His defense team claimed he only had about $20 in his bank account and that message was posted as a joke. The Sun-Times reports soon after the verdict last month, immigration agents took Martinez into custody, accusing him of entering the country illegally. The judge says the 37-year-old must have a bond hearing and cannot be moved. Federal officials have until Friday now to respond to that ruling.
Today's show host Savannah Guthrie and her siblings making an emotional plea for the safe return of their mother.
Brian is here in studio with the very latest. Brian?
Well, that plea was posted to Instagram, and today we are expecting another update from authorities in Arizona on a search for Nancy Guthrie. Investigators believe that she was taken from her Arizona home overnight on Saturday and may have been harmed during the process. TMZ and a local Tucson news station both received ransom notes, which they've since turned over to authorities. The notes contain details of the crime scene not yet known to the public, as well as a demand for millions in Bitcoin in exchange for Nancy's safe return. Savannah and her siblings spoke on social media yesterday.
She is without any medicine. She needs it to survive. She needs it not to suffer. We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you.
Investigators are now processing DNA and working to access possible security camera footage. Anthony?
All right, Brian, thank you. Indiana residents, meantime, fed up with those sky-high utility bills. They took their frustration to NIPSCO's corporate headquarters. We've been reporting on these high utility bills now for about a month. Residents there looking for financial relief. Several of our viewers in Northwest Indiana, they've been sending us their NIPSCO bills, reporting that they've been doubled, even tripled over the past year.
What is your message to state lawmakers when they see this?
My message to state lawmakers is, just like the midterms coming around, you are not safe. You are not safe. We remember what you did. We remember your name. We know if you're a Democrat or Republican. We know who you are. And you will be held accountable.
We fought back against that. We got direct elections for international officers. And now we had a stand-up strike in 2023 where we actually won back a lot of the things that were given away. We need to take that same approach to state government so that we can get rid of the corporate capture of our institution.
Also yesterday, NIPSCO representatives appeared in Indianapolis for a hearing, an evidentiary hearing. The company is also under investigation by the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission for alleged billing discrepancies involving their automated gas meters.
2 teens facing charges after they told police they planned an overnight heist at the State Street Macy's and they drew up this map. Cook County Sheriff's Police found that map after the teens admitted to hiding out in the store past closing time on Sunday night. Employees recognized them Monday morning from surveillance video showing them stealing merchandise, including sunglasses, cologne, and clothes. And they were wearing the stolen clothes when they were taken into custody.
A neighbor comes to the rescue in Arlington Heights. This happened around 10 a.m. yesterday. A home on North Dryden caught fire. 2 people were inside. One of them was able to get out on their own. Fire crews say the other person inside was rescued by a neighbor who used a sledgehammer to open the front door, go in there and carry her to safety. No word yet on what caused that fire.
What, and a neighbor, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, let's take a live look outside. It's kind of a frosty look at the city, but hopefully, Mike, some of this snow is going to melt off soon.
It will. Next week, we'll do a real big melt here with temperatures in the 40s. Wouldn't it be nice if we get that neighbor maybe on one of our later shows or something? If he
Tell
or
the
she would
story.
be. I'm assuming it's a guy. I'm not trying to be, insulting here to maybe a strong woman, but somebody with a sledgehammer carrying somebody out. I'm thinking it's a dude. But either way, I really want to hear from them. They deserve to be recognized, don't they? All right, there is still plenty of snow on the ground, and we have some snow coming into the area. It's light. I'll show you the radar in a little bit, which I think is overplaying what's really reaching the ground. But you take a look at this landscape here, and I think by next Tuesday, it's going to look a whole lot different with very little snow remaining on the ground. Look at the radar. And again, I've got the color table set up so that the heavier snow shows up in green on here. And you can see there are areas of snow apparently moving through the area. And yet, I just checked at my place in northern Lake County, and I have it on high authority, barely anything reaching the ground there at all. There's a lot of dry air close to the ground. So the radar is picking up snow that's falling, hundreds and a couple thousand feet up into the air. This to me looks like real stuff that is about to hit the I-39 corridor. So I'm going to keep a few snow showers in the forecast, mainly for the morning into the early afternoon hours. 32, though, for the high today, maybe even a few peaks of afternoon sunshine. So it's seasonably cold and breezy. If we can get to 32, it'll be our first freezing temperature since January the 16th. If we don't get there today, we're definitely doing it tomorrow. And wait till you see those temperatures early next week. Anthony, Natalie?
Okay, can't wait. Mike, thank you. President Trump is calling for nationalizing elections. So I'm going to be speaking with a law professor about what that means and whether it could actually happen. That's when we come back.
Selling your
Welcome back to Good Day Chicago. Taking a live look over the planetarium there. Kind of a frosty day today, but Mike says a warm-up is in store. And now here's Gabriella Primus with this morning's top stories.
Yeah, we're starting with the story from the south side. Natalie, police are investigating a deadly shooting outside St. Sabina Church. Now, police say it was an ambush-style shooting in broad daylight. A man and woman were shot, and the woman died. There are reports that a baby was in the car at the time as well, but was not hurt. No one is in custody. Police now offering a $10,000 reward for any information leading to an arrest in the deadly shooting outside a White Castle restaurant. It happened Tuesday in the parking lot of the White Castle on West Roosevelt. Police say 3 men were in a car when 3 other men came up and opened fire. 2 died and the other was hurt. A news alert this morning about airbag thefts from cars across Chicago, specifically Hondas. Chicago police say thieves break out the driver's side window and then take the airbags from the steering wheel. These thefts have happened over the span of a month. The criminals hit the city hard, targeting neighborhoods like Bucktown, Uptown, Jefferson Park, Portage Park, Hegwish, South Shore, and Washington Park, so please be aware. Anthony.
Okay, thank you very much, Gabby. Appreciate it. You may have heard President Trump's call for nationalizing elections, which is drawing backlash and warnings from both Democrats and Republicans. So joining me this morning to discuss is David Frumkin. He is Assistant Professor of Law at the University of Houston Law Center. Professor Frumkin, thank you for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Glad to be here.
Okay, so what is your understanding of what it would mean to nationalize elections?
Well, to be honest, it's hard to know what Donald Trump is talking about, as it so often is. I mean, the most important thing to say at the outset is that there is simply no authority under the Constitution for the president to play a role in election administration. The default rule that the Constitution establishes very clearly is that state governments get to administer elections, including for U.S. Congress. Congress can alter those state regulations of elections, but it has to do so by law. So if Congress doesn't make a law, the states are in charge. The only way to change that would be to pass a law through Congress.
And that has to come through Congress. So in terms of just the structure of how the democracy is made up and configured, why are elections historically left to the states themselves and not the federal government?
Well, I think that there are a variety of reasons. One is simply that it has been done that way for a long time. There's a long tradition of doing that way. And Congress is generally reluctant to disrupt longstanding arrangements, especially when there's no compelling justification. So that relates to a second reason, which is states have a lot of experience administering elections, and administering elections is very challenging. It requires a lot of labor and a lot of personnel. And currently, states have that infrastructure, and the federal government does not. So if you think about what it would mean for the federal government to administer elections across the country, you're talking about staffing tens of thousands of polling locations, employing people to count ballots in all of those locations. This is a massive, massive undertaking. And it's difficult to imagine that the feds could do that on the timeline that we're talking about. And certainly B, difficult to imagine that they could do it better than the states that have so much experience doing this election after election.
All right. What do you make then, Professor Frumkin, of President Trump's claims of voter fraud, widespread voter fraud, and the doubts he has cast on the integrity, especially of the 2020 election, and the need to address those? In your mind, how common is this level of voter fraud?
Voter fraud practically never happens. It's something that's very scary, and I think that is why it is talked about so much, but it really is not a serious issue. When you think about the costs of imposing the kinds of laws that get proposed to combat voter fraud, there are real costs. And so when you weigh the costs against the benefits, it's very difficult to imagine that those laws would be justified. So to give just one example, millions of Americans lack photo identification. If you pass a restrictive voter ID law that requires voters to present photo ID in order to cast a ballot, you'd be excluding millions of lawfully eligible voters from casting a ballot, potentially, particularly creating challenges for poorer and older voters for whom it might be even more difficult to obtain that photo identification. So you're really talking about solving a non-problem in a way that creates these new problems.
What would you say to those folks, though, that say those voter ID laws are basically common sense, you know, driver's license, proof of residency, and that it's reasonable for that group that you just mentioned to come up with that kind of ID?
Well, the question is just what problem is it solving? It simply is not the case that there is any meaningful level of voter fraud. This is rhetoric that gets deployed in order to cast doubt on the integrity of our election processes. And I think that's really the thing that we should be talking about. The fact that Donald Trump now has a long established pattern of trying to cast doubt on our electoral processes. You know, we didn't have these kinds of doubts before Donald Trump started using this rhetoric. But I think what we need to recognize is that the last time Donald Trump lost an election, he tried to overturn the result of that election. And what he's now saying pretty clearly is that he intends to do the same thing in the future. If he loses an upcoming election, he intends to overturn the results of that election.
All right, Assistant Professor of Law with University of Houston. We're going to have to leave it there with University of Houston Law Center, David Frumkin. Thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate it, sir.
My pleasure.
Okay, it's 7:20 back here in Chicago, and there is the view we can come up with. It's not much of one, at least from this angle. Mike, we got a little cloud cover there.
Yes, yes. That beautiful sunrise that we were watching here about 15 minutes ago, it's gone. It is now completely enshrouded in gray cloudiness. There is not that much snow reaching the ground, though. The radar is definitely lit up. I would say, you know, probably something here reaching the ground in Lake County, maybe near Zion, Winthrop Harbor, Waukegan. Zooming out, there's another area where the snow looks like it might be a little bit more robust, shall we say, kind of right over the Interstate 39 corridor, about to go over Mendota here in northwestern LaSalle County. This will pass through the Chicago area over the next few hours. You know, maybe a coating to a quarter inch or so. It's not going to be a big deal in terms of snowfall. Temperatures today, I'm banking on getting a couple peaks of late afternoon sunshine. If so, we're going to hit 32 today. Light snow showers, especially early in the day, then just kind of seasonably cold. Late tonight, if you're out 7, 8, 9 o'clock, you're not going to see any of this. But if you're getting up at the time of day that we're all in here, that's when the light mix of snow and ice will be moving into the area, with temperatures holding pretty steady. Tomorrow, we get above freezing tomorrow, for sure. But there will likely be some snow or mix in the morning, and then a couple of snow showers in the afternoon. Once again, not amounting to much, but there could be some slippery spots around tomorrow morning. 26 on Saturday, maybe a light snow shower Saturday night. That's tied to the warm front. 34 Sunday, then 40 plus Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I still think if we can get enough sunshine, Tuesday could be a 50-degree day. A little bit of rain on the way Wednesday. Natalie and Anthony, give us a look at the roads here. Anthony, looks like the Stevenson a little slow.
Yeah, there's been some problems on the Stevenson this morning. A semi has the shoulder blocked right where it kind of intersects with the tri-state there. Let's go over your travel times. You're at 51 minutes now inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown. On the Eisenhower, 45 minutes from Route 390 to downtown. On the Stevenson, yeah, it's creeping up to about an hour between I-355 and DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Now that's up to 71 minutes. It just updated there. You're at 34 minutes if you're coming in on the Dan Ryan between 95th and downtown. And if you use the Metra, check the Ventra app if you use the UP Northwest line, because there have been delays on a number of inbound trains all morning. Natalie?
Anthony, plenty more to come here on Good Day Chicago. A new push to lure the Bears to Arlington Heights. What one group of business owners and residents is saying. Excitement building ahead of the Super Bowl. We have a live report from Santa Clara on how crews are getting the stadium ready there. And a spike in calls for abandoned cars in Chicago. What one alderman is saying about these cars that could be left for months. Maybe you've got one on your block. We'll be right back.
Your go-to
lawmakers in Washington continuing their fight over immigration enforcement after a funding bill was approved by President Trump this week. It funds the Department of Homeland Security for a little over a week. Our political analyst Paris Schutt spoke with Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth on her position.
I'm not voting for another penny to go to ICE, to Trump's ICE, unless we have some of these guardrails in place. Trump's lawless agents are out of control. We need accountability. So number one, I think there should be independent investigations of ICE, right? So that when they're involved in these shootings, that it should just not be ICE investigating itself. I think that we need to make sure that they remove their mask and are forced to wear body cams. One of the things we learned yesterday from Ms. Martinez is that ICE is keeping the body cam footage from her shooting, her attempted murder by this ICE agent. They're not turning that over. And then I also think that we need to keep them from being able to just range. And right now they're patrolling. They're allowed to range within 100 air miles from the nation's borders. So they can come through and walk on Amtrak trains and range in the streets of our cities.
The White House says President Trump will be the ultimate decider of policy changes for immigration enforcement. All right, the battle over where the Bears plan to build a new stadium is heating up once again.
Indeed, a group called Touchdown Arlington. They're going to be rallying next week to show that there's a lot of support for the Bears. The Bears haven't gotten some of the tax breaks, though, from Arlington Heights that they are looking for. And last week, the Indiana Senate approved that bill to create the Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority to pursue the Bears. The group Touchdown Arlington, led by business owners and residents as well, planning a rally next week to make a push for the Bears to stay in Illinois as the clock ticks in Springfield.
Imminence is the word of the day. We've got to make a decision fast. We're hosting an event next week, gathering several local leaders from around the northwest suburbs and around Cook County to show solidarity. I think that we have to get our house in order, and everybody needs to get on board with the idea that Arlington Heights is the only feasible location for this project in Illinois. We've had too much infighting about other locations, lack of commitment. Now is the time. Arlington Heights is the site, and we need Springfield to work quickly to make a deal. This is our first competitor from outside of the state, and I think it's the most realistic option the Bears have faced. Indiana is moving very fast. You're right. They've got until the end of February to really get a decision lined up based on their budget cycle. And if we can't get significant confidence that we can get a deal done here, Arlington Heights, the northwest suburbs, Cook County, and Illinois have all lost one of our biggest businesses.
And the Bears are looking for support for infrastructure and the surrounding development, along with some tax certainties. So we will keep an eye on this battle as it continues to heat up, I should say. Yeah, there's the rendering right there. All right, Mike Kaplan, take it away, sir.
My oft-stated position is as follows. Didn't the Bears buy a whole bunch of land in Arlington Heights? I'm not saying, I'm just saying, if they're not building there, what are they going to do with that? All right, well, we'll see eventually, and we will have some weather, maybe more befitting spring baseball than what we've endured recently. I've got 3 40-degree days coming up in the 7-day. We'll be right back.
Say big and
All right, welcome back at 7:32 on your Thursday morning. We are following a bizarre series of thefts across the Chicago area. They involve Hondas, okay? This video shared to the Citizen app shows a car that was broken into on the far southeast side.
And we're expecting an update on the disappearance of Today's Show anchor Savannah Guthrie's mother. We have a new plea from the family for her safe return.
Plus, we're speaking with the folks who make the Super Bowl safe for all the players. They are going to walk us through the process of getting the field itself ready for the big game, along with a tool. There's a look at that, a tool that they're using here. Yeah.
All right. Police investigating back here at home a deadly shooting with unbelievable video outside St. Sabina Church.
Yeah, Gabriella Primus has that and some of the other top stories we were following. Gabriella?
Yeah, we view shocking too. That's another word for it. But police say it was an ambush-style shooting in broad daylight. A man and a woman were shot, and the woman died. Police say the mass shooters fired into that white car before hopping into a red SUV and driving off. But from the audio, it sounds like they continued firing shots while driving away in that red SUV. There are reports that a baby was in the car at the time as well, but was not hurt. No one is in custody. Chicago police are investigating dozens of break-ins across the city targeting Hondas. Officers say the thieves are smashing windows and stealing the car's airbags. The crimes have been reported in at least 16 neighborhoods since December 21st. And right now, the National Prayer Breakfast is happening in Washington, D.C. This is a live look there now. President Trump is in attendance and is expected to speak shortly. We'll keep you updated on what he plans to say. And police now also offering a $10,000 reward for any information leading into the arrest into a deadly shooting outside a White Castle restaurant. It happened Tuesday in the parking lot of the White Castle on West Roosevelt. Police say 3 men were in a car when 3 other men came up and opened fire. 2 died and the other was hurt. One of the men killed has been identified as 48-year-old Lindell Harton. Anyone with information can reach out to the Cook County Crime Stoppers. Brian Jackson is in studio following up on some other stories for us this morning. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Gabriella. A federal judge in Indiana is blocking the deportation of a man acquitted last month in the murder-for-hire plot against Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino. The jury found Juan Espinoza Martinez not guilty for offering a $10,000 bounty. His defense team claimed that he had about $20 in his bank account and that the message was sent as a joke. The Sun-Times reports that soon after the verdict on January 22nd, immigration agents took Martinez into custody. They accused him of entering the country illegally. The judge says the 37-year-old must have a bond hearing and cannot be moved around. Federal officials now have until Friday to respond to that ruling. Today's Show host Savannah Guthrie is pleading with her mother's possible kidnappers to provide proof that she is still alive. Investigators believe that 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home against her will in Arizona on Saturday, but so far they have not identified any suspects. 2 teens are facing charges after they told police that they planned an overnight heist at the Macy's on State Street. Take a look at this hand-drawn map. Cook County Sheriff's Police found it after the teens admitted to hiding out in the store past closing time on Sunday night. Employees then recognized them on Monday morning from surveillance videos showing them stealing merchandise, including sunglasses, cologne, and clothes. They were wearing the stolen clothes when they were taken into custody. And take a look at this. A neighbor comes to the rescue in Arlington Heights. Around 10 o'clock yesterday morning, a home on North Dryden caught fire with 2 people still inside. One person was able to get out on their own. Fire crews said that the other person inside was rescued by a neighbor. The neighbor used a sledgehammer to open up the front door and carry that person out to safety. No word yet on what caused the fire, but thank goodness for that neighbor even putting their own life on the line to save a fellow neighbor. What a story, Mike.
That's fabulous. And I hope that person gets some kind of recognition, if not through media, then, through that fire department there in Arlington Heights. But you're right.
Brave soul, for sure.
That's bravery. That is bravery. I'm channeling their little Charles Bronson. There's some old people that know what I'm referring to there. All right, we have snow on the ground and a little bit of snow coming down this morning. Just heard from my friend Jan, one of her photos coming up at the 9 o'clock hour, by the way. She's in Roselle and says a little bit of light snow coming down there. We have 20 at O'Hare, Waukegan, Woodstock, DeKalb, Rockford. 18 now at Gary. We have 17 degrees at Chicago Heights. So it's a cold morning, and the wind chills in a lot of spots have been dipping down into the single digits. So you got to have the winter coat, the hat, the gloves, especially if you're spending any kind of time out there this morning, maybe waiting on a bus or a train. 7 at Chicago Heights. That's the wind chill, and it feels like 8 in Merrillville and also Kankakee. Radar. I'm showing you in green where the snow has been a little bit heavier. Right now there's a patch over the lake. We're not really worried about that. But there's a little stripe of some slightly heavier snow passing over the I-39 corridor, moving through LaSalle County now, probably right over LaSalle, Peru, Starved Rock. We've got 32 on the way, though, today. I'm going a little higher than the computer wants me to go. If we get there, it'll be our first freezing temperature since the 16th of January. But we'll deal with a little bit of light, he says, light snow this morning. Tonight, temperatures don't drop much from 32 to 28, but late, post-midnight, more like 3, 4 a.m. We get a mixed bag of precip in here. It will be mostly snow, but there could be some sleet, maybe even a little bit of freezing rain or freezing drizzle mixed in, which could create some slippery spots, probably not on the main roads, but on back roads and on driveways and such tomorrow morning. 36, though, tomorrow. We start a little thaw. 26 on Saturday, a little brief shot of colder air. Could be a flake or two Saturday night, and then it's all above freezing. Sunday, 34, and then way into the 40s we go. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Tuesday could even be warmer than that 45. If we get enough sun, it might be 50. We might get a little bit of rain here on Wednesday. Got a couple of lovely photos here. Johnny O'Hara went to the moon. All right, he really didn't there. That is the Sphere in Las Vegas, and it sure looks like maybe the backside of the moon there, but that is a cool scene there. I have not been to Vegas since they put this thing up, but it is a remarkable structure, and it looks really cool, doesn't it? Neat. Thanks, Johnny. And then this is from my friend Morgan Heist. Now, she is competing with her father, Al. We've featured many of his sunrise photos. In fact, he took one this morning. He works at the Naval Base here in the Chicago area. But this is his daughter. She's a freshman at Iowa State. And yesterday morning from her dorm room, captured this view out over corn country. Morgan, I hope you're watching. If not, you're probably resting so that you can get straight A's in your classes and make mom and dad proud. 7:39. We're going to leave you with a look at the travel times here as we take a quick break. Looks like that Stevenson is the slowest at 70 minutes coming in from the tri-state. Wow.
Okay, excitement is building ahead of football's biggest night, Sunday. But as people across the country start stocking up on, snack food and stuff, crews are busy getting the field at Levi's Stadium in tip-top shape. And experts this year are using a special machine, it's called the Beast, to test the safety of the field. Felipe Alader is here to talk about how the Beast works. He's a senior researcher at BioCore, which is the company behind this technology. Felipe, thank you for being on the program. Appreciate it, sir.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so run us through. What exactly is the Beast?
So the Beast is a machine that is designed to test for traction, in particular the interactions, the forces generated when the NFL players' cleats are engaged with the playing field. So that's a key movement in American football, and that type of movement is crucial to the game for the athletes to make their cuts, their starts, their stops. They need a certain amount of grip, of traction to play, but not too much and not too little. Too little traction can result in slips. Too much traction can contribute to injury and undesirable outcomes. So the Beast is a machine that is designed with the NFL playing conditions in mind, and it helps us put numbers to that traction interaction between the player and the surface.
Got it. So how exactly does it work? I see what look like some things on the bottom of the machine that actually go down into the field. Are they like taking samples there for moisture and that kind of thing? How's it work?
Not necessarily. That is a general technical representation of a biomechanical lag with an NFL cleat form in the bottom. So that cleat is going to lower down to the surface with the same amount of vertical forces as the NFL players put down when they're playing. Once the cleat is loaded onto the surface, we're going to twist or pull that cleat, and those two motions, the rotational traction or the linear translational traction, those are the ones that are of interest to us, and those are the ones that are being measured for the forces that can contribute to consistency, playability, and ultimately player safety.
Okay, so let's just say, for example, that the Beast is doing its thing on the field and it notices a problematic area. Then what happens after that?
That's a very good question. So the Beast is one piece of the puzzle of a much larger ecosystem for surface testing, surveillance, and monitoring. The Beast is actually not in use just for the Super Bowl. The NFL has deployed resident Beasts at certain stadiums, and we continue to increase that support for the league. And the goal for the Beast measurement is to have a consistent monitoring of the fields, to be able to identify undesirable trends coming before a problem actually happens. So it's a very powerful tool that can help us predict a certain traction outcome based on the test numbers. So number one, it puts numbers to something that is touch and feely, which is the playability of a field. And the second thing is you can start predicting outcomes based on the numbers you measure with the Beast.
Ah, interesting. Okay. And what would you say to the folks who are like, okay, well, hey, nothing can replicate the circumstances of an actual game, and why not just host scrimmages there with players that are about the same size and weight as NFL players? And could you get the same info that way?
I think not so much. So the Beast is an objective measurement tool. So it has an incredibly advanced data collection system, something that a human is not able to report from just the subjective experience of playing. And the second thing, we don't want to expose humans to those types of conditions. The Beast is a very powerful tool that will generate loads that could be potentially injurious to players. So that's why it's such a useful, powerful tool.
Makes sense. Now, how long, I'm curious how long the Beast has been around. Is this new this year? You said the NFL is kind of deploying it in other stadiums, or has it been in the works for a while?
The Beast has existed for a while. The original development took place over 10 years ago, and it was intended as a laboratory research method. So we used the original Beast and the original method in the laboratory more so than on field. In recent years, we've redeveloped that methodology into a portable mobile package, which is what you see on screen now. That specific package is capable of going to stadiums and testing the actual surfaces that players play on as opposed to a laboratory sample. You can't replicate the level of usage of an NFL stadium, games and operational needs from a stadium. That cannot be replicated on the laboratory. So I'll give you an example. If you want to test helmets or cleats, you can get something off the shelf, bring it to the laboratory and test it. But if you want to test an NFL field, you are limited. So you have to go to the field to test. That's what propelled the redevelopment of the Beast into this current package, along with making it better, safer, and more user-friendly, so you don't rely on specialized engineering skill sets to run the device. So this is a device that is being used by any stadium staff around the league today.
All right. Very cool, Felipe Alda here. It sounds like, you know, for hockey, the Zamboni now has a little competition now from the football side. I like it. Felipe Alda here. Thank you so much for running us through that. It's fascinating stuff. Appreciate it, sir.
Thanks for having me.
All right, 7:47. Here's a quick look at what is coming up on Good Day Chicago at 8 and 9 o'clock. Keep it right here. Hope your Thursday morning's off to a great start.
Life brings.
All right, welcome back. It is 10 till 8 a.m. on your Thursday. As we take a live look outside, we'll check in with Mike in just a moment about a little warm-up. But first, we want to send things over to Gabriela Primus.
Yeah, let's talk about some of these top stories, Natalie or Anthony. Police are investigating a deadly shooting outside St. Sabina Church. Police say it was an ambush-style shooting in broad daylight. A man and a woman were shot, and the woman died. There are reports that a baby was in the car at the time as well, but was not hurt. No one is in custody. Police are now offering a $10,000 reward for any information leading to an arrest in a deadly shooting outside a White Castle restaurant. Remember, this happened on Tuesday in the parking lot of the White Castle on West Roosevelt. Police say 3 men were in the car when 3 other men came up and opened fire. 2 died and the other was hurt. We're expecting another update today in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Yesterday, Today Show host Savannah Guthrie and her siblings took to social media to make an emotional plea for the safe return of their mother. Investigators believe Nancy Guthrie was abducted from her Arizona home overnight on Saturday. Natalie.
7:51, taking a look at the weather here, and we still see that snow settled over the Chicagoland area. Mike Kaplan tells us, though, that a warm-up is on the way, and it couldn't come soon enough, Mike.
It's too late, but we'll take it. Next week still looks much milder, and today we have a reasonable chance of hitting the freezing mark, and we'll get above freezing tomorrow. But there's still some wintry precipitation, including out there right now. Not a lot of this is reaching the ground. A few light snowflakes here and there. Perhaps the more robust snow showers showing up here, moving through LaSalle County, just passing over I-39. Here's Interstate 80, so right around Ottawa, all the way west to Utica. This is eastbound. We'll be moving into Grundy County here in a little bit, and passing this at least batch of it, passing south of the city. But anywhere in Chicagoland, we could get a brief snow shower here, mainly during the morning hours, ending by early afternoon. Now, the rest of the day, if we can get a little bit of sun, we'll get to 32 this afternoon. So it's seasonably cold. That's still a little colder than normal, but boy, we have some mild air on the way. Tomorrow, we're going to get above freezing. Yay. However, in the morning, it's going to be a mix of precipitation coming in. Some of that is going to be snow, might be a little freezing rain or some sleet. Could cause some slippery conditions in a few spots, but we will get above freezing, so that will improve, I think, the road conditions. 26 on Saturday, small chance of a snow shower at night. No big deal with that. 34 Sunday, and then here come the 40s. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Tuesday could be significantly warmer than that. We'll see, but 42 on Wednesday with a little bit of light rain this time instead of snow. All right, Anthony, are we seeing any improvement on the road? Still see some high times there, huh?
Little bit of improvement on the Stevenson there. It's a 5-minute shorter ride inbound from the tri-state to downtown. But let's go through your drive times. You're about an hour inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown. Over an hour, just over an hour on the Eisenhower inbound from Route 390 to downtown. It's a 66-minute ride right now between I-355 and DuSable Lakeshore Drive on the Stevenson. On the Dan Ryan thing, stacking up a bit. 41 minutes is your drive time inbound from 95th to downtown. And also, there are delays on a number of metro lines this morning. You'll want to check your Ventra app if you take BNSF, UP North, or UP Northwest lines.
And plenty more Good Days Chicago ahead. Keep it right here. President Donald Trump says he and Chinese President Xi Jinping talked about a range of issues during a phone call on Wednesday. A key topic was the situation in Iran as the administration pushes Beijing to further isolate Tehran. Trump says the two also talked about trade and his plans to visit China in April.
Israel is launching new strikes on Gaza, and they're putting a strain on the ceasefire. Wednesday's strikes killed at least 21 Palestinians, mostly women and children, reportedly. Israel claims the attacks were in response to Hamas gunfire against an Israeli soldier. Since the deal took effect in October, Gaza health officials believe that almost 600 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli strikes.
New terrorism-related charges have been filed against a Chicago man accused of killing 2 Israeli embassy employees outside a Washington, D.C. museum last year. They were young employees. According to a federal indictment, Elias Rodriguez killed Sarah Milgram and Yaron Lashinsky as a way to influence the government and intimidate civilians. The new charges could have him facing the death penalty. Rodriguez has pleaded not guilty to separate charges.
Every day, new revelations are being released from the newest batch, I should say, of Jeffrey Epstein files. 3.5 million files were released last week, and it's taking time to read through them. One of the new released documents detail Woody Allen's wife, some interactions she had with Epstein. Allen met when she was 10 years old. Sunyi Previn told Epstein the Me Too movement had gone too far. And in one of the documents here, in an email, she blamed a 15-year-old girl who was getting texts from former Congressman Anthony Weiner for getting him in trouble, blaming the 15-year-old rather than the then congressman. On the Chicago Report, a Northwestern law professor says it's stunning what keeps coming out.
The second thing is the mind-blowing stupidity of a lot of these people, like Clinton and like Bannon and like George Mitchell and Larry Summers. I mean, do they really think that no one would ever learn about this? I never met Epstein. He must be a very compelling person.
The files show Epstein helped Allen and Previn's daughter get into Bard College.
Today, families of Boeing MAX 8 crash victims will ask a federal appeals court to overturn an order dismissing charges against the company. The case involves 31 families who lost loved ones in 2 separate crashes, one in 2018, another the following year. The crashes killed 346 people and led to a global grounding